Ladies and gents, welcome back. Now we are at the finals of best of 3 to find out who's going to be representing Thailand in FSL Elite later on this year in September. We're on the picks and bans, and on our left, as you will soon see, we will have the Lannister girls, and on the right, Opononi. Both extremely well done to have made it this far. I think Opononi climbing up from the losers bracket have a lot to say now in this finals.
Yep, Lannister's definitely having some time to look over the previous games that Opononi has played and, you know, banning the Kled and the Renekton, picking up the Armory for themselves. Do ban the Pike out as well, which I think is a bit curious. I think Sparky has shown that she has preferred to play, you know, the Nautilus instead.
Yep, it will be the Silas locked in here. I like that they went for this Ari pick away, saying that, you know, Christy could probably play this as well. We don't want to give it to Nacha Adventure, who has been super comfortable on the champion, but instead here, the Jarvan in the jungle Silas is a flex pick that also could be sent to the jungle if they want to change things up and be a bit creative. Of course, you can play top lane Jarvan if you want to. For a period of time, I think people considered top lane Jarvan as a counter to Jace. We played a Summoner Aerie Jarvan in the top lane, but now it's going to be this Rengar that's being hovered here.
Speaking of shaking things up, I guess, but they do go for the Yuumi instead. Might actually pick up the AD carry here. I think I would like to see them pick up, I don't know.
To be honest, I don't think you have to show AD carry here. I think you go for something like an Aatrox that you can pair with the Yuumi. You want a Bruiser to make sure that Yuumi is extremely effective, because looking at ADC is only too short-sighted, right? You want to see what else the Yuumi pairs with. So jungle top lane Bruisers would be the best thing. Like something like Olaf would be great as well. Aatrox, like I said, would be the premier option, but no, just showing the bot lane early on. Ezreal Yuumi. That's just gonna be a safe lane, right?
Safe lane. I mean, you're not gonna find many advantages off of that lane. Of course, like in the previous game, we did say that Ezreal takes a while to get going. But I think if you want to play your safe bot lane, I think that's fine at the moment. But you do have to find advantages elsewhere.
I think that's the option that they want to go with, because showing your bot lane means that you still have the second ban phase to orchestrate and plan out where your solo laners, or at least your top and jungle, is going to be.
And here's what I want to talk about. Earlier, previously, when I was saying they should maybe pick up their AD carry, I was thinking perhaps
lock away the Xayah?
Yeah, before you even take the Yuumi, maybe you go for the Xayah or Khan easily, because we have seen WDZ have some pretty good performance on the Xayah. Not exactly, you know, the standout player, but she has been pumping out those sorts of big damage numbers in the crucial team fights. So I'm questioning whether or not giving Xayah over to her is, you know, optimal play right now.
And banning away the Rakan seems unfounded as well. They have shown thus far that they're not the kind to play Xayah Rakan, instead going for Xayah Nautilus. So I'm surprised WRDZ actually does sound like words if you want to look at it that way. Yeah. But instead, a bit of a weird ban coming through. So two strange support bans so far in this game. At least in this draft phase. Moving on to the last ban, it's going to be Rek'Sai. So Opononi know that they've secured their own jungle. They want to remove the meta jungles available and not give any tier 1 junglers over.
Yeah, we're not going to see Sejuani Jarvan for this game either. There goes the Nautilus ban as well.
Smart.
Removing 3 supports from Sparky's champion pool. We're going to have to see what she actually goes for right now, because I don't think we've seen her play much of anything. I think maybe the Karma.
Yeah, maybe the Karma, maybe the Morgana still on the table. These are options that they can make use of. I think the Enchanter supports are definitely the 2 goal picks here. Looking at the last couple of seconds, WRDZ awards will be looking for her support pick. Nope, it's gonna be a odd disconnect coming through. So I think both sides, there was a disconnect from the support. Perhaps they didn't manage to communicate across what they wanted. So hopefully we'll get the result for you very soon. As we jump back to the caster screen, but so far the draft for Opononi looks pretty standard. You know, you see the Xayah, you see the Jarvan. There's nothing too different that I expect coming in from them.
Yeah, but one thing that I want to point out though is whether or not Opononi really do want to go for, you know, the Enchanter supports, because, well, if you're against the Ezreal Yuumi, one way that you can mitigate it as safe lane.
Straight up hard engage.
Yeah, hard engage them with, you know, likes of Pike and Nautilus who are now banned. So I'm thinking maybe you go
Leona?
Leona is one. I was gonna say Blitzcrank, but now that I think of it, that's not exactly very rational from them. But, you know, the idea is to just, you know, straight up engage on them if you want.
Okay, so we're getting word that their pick was supposed to be Volibear.
For what?
For the support pick, I think.
What?
They wanted to lock in Volibear and they DC'd, so perhaps that's going to be a bot lane Volibear support.
Right, well, that's certainly something we haven't seen much of. But the thing about Volibear support into the Ezreal, though, is if you try to run at Ezreal,
He's gonna E away,
He's
right?
just gonna E away.
But we've seen who is the bot laner for? I think How Alive that played the bot lane support Volibear, and the way it works is that Volibear is not naturally picked to counter a Nautilus. Most people use it as a Nautilus counter pick, right? And in this case, open picking the Volibear into Ezreal Yuumi, it doesn't tell me that they want to win lane. What it tells me is that they want to roam the map and make things happen through the use of the Volibear, because their mid lane is still Ahri, still very mobile 3-6, and you can get a flank, you know, there are multiple ways to make things happen.
Right, we're just gonna see the bans and picks from previously just come through again, so not much to talk about there. I think supports should still, well, Volibear support, really.
Yeah, well, it could be a Volibear top as well. There are multiple options. There are multiple lanes that the champion can go to, but if I was a betting man, I would say yeah, Volibear support is the selection here.
I think Volibear right now isn't actually the ultimate champion you can go for, but sure, if you're comfortable on it, I guess I'm not one to speak right now.
It could be just a fake out because they are last pick on red side and say, okay, we pick Volibear, and then they fake out and send Volibear to jungle and then actually counter pick full bot lane with another support. Because you have Silas as well as Jarvan, right? Both of them can actually, you can put Jarvan top, you can put Silas mid. So although not optimal, it is still playable. And we've seen this sort of flexibility come in so much now in the recent season 9 with people like G2, people like Fnatic, where they flex picks so simply, knowing that it will work out.
We need a Garen bot. That's what we need right now.
Garen against Xayah maybe not the best option. Might be a bit tricky, but even against Ezreal would be quite bad. So next set of bans coming in, I remember it was the Sejuani Rek'Sai, and the opposite side was Nautilus and Rakan. Yeah.
Seriously?
All right. Well,
Lame.
we're gonna see whether or not the Volibear does actually come through, and which position they will put him in. So at the moment, just the bans and picks from previously.
I'm trying to remember which Korean team it was that played the Volibear. It's either Hanwha Life or Jin Air. I can't recall off the top of my head, but I know I've been seeing it quite a bit in LCK, especially in response to the Nautilus. I think the casters there, so Papa Smithy was talking through the logic of the pick, the fact that if they hard engage on you, actually just flip them into your AD carry, turn around and kill support, because you have natural regen and you have the bite, which is an execute, right? So they're actually good tools that Volibear has to turn the aggression over to anyone looking to engage on top of them.
Right. At the moment, though, we do see on Opononi side they do have a lot of flexes, so
right.
we can't exactly be sure where each champion is going until Sparky locks in her pick. But on the other side, though, we do see the Fiora, which we haven't seen all tournament.
Oof, Fiora is difficult, and it's one of our, if you remember when we were casting Girl Gamer, it's one of the big winning points for the game 3 of the finals. I wasn't casting them, sorry, I was casting them with Jenny, right? So I think Asterix, their top laner, is a Fiora specialist, and she open picked that into a Yorick and straight up demolished the matchup, right? So this time going up against what would possibly be, alright.
So it should be Fiora, Volibear, Aatrox jungle,
yes.
Silas mid. Alright.
Hold on. Xayah Braum, okay, right. So it's gonna be Volibear top, right. You're right, yeah, Silas mid. Wow, interesting, okay.
It's very interesting. I actually don't like Xayah Braum exactly, because if you have the Xayah, you have the Braum, that's a very safe lane as well. You don't really have those sorts of engages unless Braum finds a crucial glacial fissure, which is going to be very difficult onto the Ezreal Yuumi. So
yeah,
both these bot lanes are going to be pretty passive until, maybe jungle intervention comes through.
But still, I'm pretty happy that they managed to pick up the Aatrox together with the Yuumi, because I think that's one of the more powerful pairings that you have with Yuumi. These sort of mobile bruisers, or immobile bruisers rather, that need the speed boost, need the lockdown and slows on top of them to make damage happen.
I'm not sure if we saw the Aatrox earlier today or if it was yesterday, but we saw Aatrox, I think it was on the Thai stream.
Right, yeah.
Right?
There was a Aatrox against Urgot. It was, for the life of me, I think Anwa versus Alternative Ladies? Yeah.
Sure, I guess. Not actually very sure myself, but Alright, take a look at the team compositions though. When you have the Fiora, the Aatrox, I think there's possibility of playing, even the 1-3-1. Send each to each of these champions to the side lanes and push through there. You don't really have the ability to go for a full 5-on-5 team fight until later on in the game when Ezreal does come online. But that's gonna take a while.
Even worst case scenario, you can still play 1-4. Fiora is gonna be getting to that point where she can split push comfortably, as long as she doesn't fall too far behind. I think rotate is pretty comfortable on this Fiora as well. That being said, I could see the logic of why they waited until it was last 2 picks, because if they picked Fiora early, there is a sort of way for them to get counterpicked. And if they picked Aatrox early, their opponents would have gone for the Fiora top, so you kind of staggered them back to back. And this results in at least getting either Fiora a good lane or Aatrox a good lane, right?
Yep, this has been a very interesting champion select so far. My big question mark, of course, is the Volibear-Fiora matchup. I'm not exactly sure who's going to come out ahead, but if Fiora does fall behind, it's going to be very difficult for them to execute that 1-4.
So the way this matchup works, just off the top of my head, is that
Alright.
because you have to get into melee range and close to melee range to proc the Vitals, Volibear is going to get access to the Rolling Thunder and flipping you across, right? And that's when it becomes a bit of an issue, because if you don't parry that properly, you are locked in and all in against Volibear, who is more than happy to take that trade, especially post level 6. So Fiora wants to go into these short vital procs and dash out and make sure to dodge away from the Rolling Thunder flip. Otherwise, in an extended long form trade, I think Volibear is going to come out ahead.
Well, the parry is the real question mark here, isn't it? Because we have to see whether Fiora is able to, you know, accurately predict when Volibear is going to use that flip,
Yeah.
and whether or not Volibear is going to be able to fake out and, you know, crucially time that flip so that Fiora is unable to parry.
There are two things you want to parry with the riposte. The one being the flip, the second being the knock-up, right? When he does that scream and knocks the minions away. That's another one that you want to be able to riposte, because if you do manage to counter the CC, it gives you a stun. And it makes it such that you will come out on top of that trade in these short instances. But once again, I feel like Volibear is going to be more comfortable in the long-term trades. Just because of early level passive as well, will be able to heal up. Whereas Fiora, once she's locked into the all-in, if she doesn't get vital procs, she's pretty much dead in the water.
Right. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, I think Nacha Adventure, we've seen her on the Ahri and the Lux. We haven't actually seen her on Sylas. It's sort of a different champion. I think it's more of a get in your face instead of a stand way at range and shoot you. But it's going to actually be facing up Ahri herself. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup.
One thing is she's going to be comfortable with the matchup, considering she plays a lot of Ahri. The second thing you have to know about Sylas is that there aren't really a lot of good ultimates to steal this game. Like, World Ender is kind of meh. Grand Challenge is terrible to steal because there's very little chance you'll be able to proc all 4 vitals, right? And maybe your best bet might just be True Shot Barrage and Final Chapter with their AP scaling, more impactful in that sense. But overall, it's not like you're stealing a Glacial Prison from Sejuani. It's not like you're stealing a Canyon Barrage from GP that can turn fights, right? These are small to medium ultimates that you're taking away.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a questionable pick, the Sylas. I think if you're not using it for the ultimates, then what are you really using it for? I think the jumping in and the AoE damage that your passive does bring is one factor why you pick the Sylas. But right now, if your enemy team does not want to go for a 5v5, I don't actually know why this Sylas is on the board.
Did lock it in early as well, so we have to find out what the value of the Sylas is rather coming in. Going for, you can't see this on the loading screen because we are staring at it, but going
now
for, there you go, Grasp of the Undying. Jeez, look at the amount of mastery points on that top lane Volibear. It's 114k. She plays a lot of Volibear.
Plays a lot of Volibear. That's
Just
correct.
double the amount of the Fiora. Jeez.
But you only have
No silence
level
points.
6. What are you doing?
No silence points. That's triggering me. Meanwhile,
Oh my word!
400k. Okay, cool.
What
Cool,
could
cool,
go
cool,
wrong? Alright, this is the
Alright.
tilt part where you like Nacho, what are you doing?
Yeah. Maybe she has a Smurf account which is only Sylas. We won't know.
Only Sylas.
We'll have to find out, right? But like we said, we don't know the value of the Sylas until it comes online. Personally, I think you could have gone for something else against this Ahri. There are better options, right, compared to the Sylas. In fact, hell, I would have gone for a Kali or Aurelia.
Now on the opposing side of the Ahri though, actually doesn't go for cleanse. I think you have some strong feelings about this.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure what he's trying to do here. She's trying to do here, sorry.
There is a window to sort of outplay this. If you see the cleanse, if you see the charm coming, you could actually abscond a certain direction away and then re-engage with the abduct. So of course it's not terrible to not go for cleanse here. However, you will get poked out quite a bit because Ahri with Glacial Augment and a ranged matchup against a melee is actually super punishing. So the way this one works is that when you auto attack the melee champion, they're slowed, and then you walk up Orb of Deception forward, they're gonna take both ends of the queue, and so you're gonna get punished very quickly. I've seen this happen like multiple times in solo queue. It's just so brutal because you get zoned off the wave level 1, and if you walk up to CS, you basically walk away with like 2/3 HP. Worst case scenario, half.
Alright, so mid lane matchup, definitely something we have to keep our eye on. I actually think that's the most crucial matchup, since both bot lanes are, you know, sort of just passively farming until Xayah hits her items. And, well, actually both solo lanes are something very, oh, here we go.
Speaking of solo lanes, proccing the Vital already and using the shout to knock her back. Comfy Roof super happy with that trade and walking away. The second Vital on the opposite side means that nothing's really going to happen, but the important part is that the Bone Plate has been procced there. So eventually when she walks back into lane, because it is on a longer cooldown, the first trade that Fiora takes will be in favor of her.
Yes, certainly. Volibear at level 1 does have a bit more tankiness and a bit more damage, unless Fiora is able to proc her vitals, which
I think you have to proc like 2 or 3 in a row to match the damage from the Volibear early on.
definitely a bit what's the word? Difficult.
Yeah.
For, oh man, for Fiora.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. I just can't find my words today for some reason.
Lemon Sugar's predictable pathing here once more to the top side does indicate to us that she should be hitting top lane soon. Meanwhile, the Aatrox starting on red buff and moving over to the Raptor camp. Every time we see Aatrox jungle, we talk about this. The fact that your Q helps you clear the wave so quickly, especially if they are in numbers, because it is an AoE sort of spell.
Yep, take a look though. Rotate doesn't actually place down an opportune ward like we saw in the last game to spot out the Jarvan. Instead, it's actually pushing up her lane, which gives Jarvan a bit of an opportunity to go for a gank here.
But remember, no level 2 just yet on the Volibear, so even though Rotate is coming up, it's still level 1 versus level 2. And the wave is massive right here. You can't afford to engage on this wave and lose all that EXP. So actually, Rotator is the one that comes out better for that trade because she shoved the wave in and backed off.
Yep, now Rotate's starting to move down, places a ward, so that should mitigate a bit of aggression coming from the river.
Meanwhile, Jarvan coming in the mid lane, level 3 already, so Abscond Abduct is available for the Sylas if she wants to make the play. Meanwhile, Aatrox here starting on her own blue buff. 12 camps in, this being the fourth rather, will give her level 3.
Keep in mind, they did spot the fact that Jarvan plays down a ward in the river, so they should know that he should be pathing down towards the bot side here. Actually going for his blue, not much action to be seen as we look at the bot lane fight.
Bot lane's here, slightly ahead in favor of Xayah, but this is what we expected early on. Ezreal kind of auto loses the lane and has to play a bit more carefully. Unbreakable thrown in the wrong direction there, a bit of a oopsie daisy.
Yeah, if you're Sparky, you really don't have to do those kinds of trades. You're just wasting your health on not much return here.
Meanwhile, Aatrox will see the Jarvan here attempting the Scuttle Crab. I want to say Rift Herald, but no, it's a Scuttle Crab this early on.
Yeah, despite the fact that Jarvan did waste a bit of time just wandering around looking for a gank, is able to pick up the first Scuttle and get the bit of an advantage there.
You can see the riposte was pretty good there, managing to mitigate the damage coming in on the top side, but still a lot of caster minions means that Rotate does not want to take this trade. She wants to back off after a short burst. Top side Scuttle Crab going the way of P-Tawan. Aatrox.
Take a look though, Nata was forced to use her flash defensively. Oh, only surviving a sliver of health here as Kirsty does push the wave under the turret. There's gonna be a wave missing unless she uses a TP, which she has to at this point.
Yeah, I think she has to TP back in, and Kirsty's gonna get a cheat recall out. I talk about this so often, right? The idea of once you get a kill, or at least, you know, all-in attempt, you shove the wave in, you recall, get a buy, you don't have to use any TP back in this case, because she doesn't, still gonna get a good buy timing in.
Just skirmish at the mid lane, I think, at this point. We definitely have to give the advantage over the Ahri. Once again, Sylas, a bit of a questionable pick here, but just falling behind about 10 CS at the moment.
I remember I was saying this early in the game, the fact that Glacial Augment was the keystone of choice makes it so difficult for Sylas to lane because you're always going to get zoned away consistently due to the slow and the Orb of Deception coming in. Meanwhile, bot lane being shoved in. I think WRDZ might want to recall after this wave. Tends to find a window around 40-45 CS in. So maybe 1 or 2 more might just work for her. Junglers are now doing their second rotation of camps, so you can see Lannister clearing the crops out earlier now on the second round. Meanwhile, her opposition doing her own drop as well.
Here you can see both junglers actually focusing towards the solo lanes from the top side and the mid lane. Jarvan actually getting pinged out here, so actually there's no ward there, so that's a prediction pick.
Yeah, this is just smart pings coming in. You're privy to the idea of where Jarvan started, so where the next camp respawn is going to be. if you're Fiora and you saw the gang coming in, you can do the math, right? If Java arrives at top lane with 8 CS, that means she took 2 camps. So it's most likely either gonna be red Raptors or red Crux, but with the timing, it's most likely red Crux.
Back to the previous point though, I'd like to see that both junglers are actually focusing on the top side, because these are the lanes that you want to see a difference making, because bot side, again, just passive. So if you're able to get your solo lanes ahead, that's going to be one avenue where you can find advantages to win the game.
Hijacking the Spirit Rush away from Kirsty now. Nacha Adventure has to be careful with the spacing. You can see she's still being zoned away from the CS, even though it is pushing up. Being forced to use the Qs to farm up.
Yep, Aatrox now the one being pinged out. Jarvan walking down towards the Ocean Dragon, not the most, not the highest priority at this point, but yeah, we can see the vision for Opononi here in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, pretty good coverage in the Raptor area, gives them full information on where the Jarvan, or rather, excuse me, the Aatrox is. And like you said, this is a open Drake, Ocean Drake response, so no one's really going to be contesting that. This just does buy some time for them to sort of farm it up and play slower. Of course, in the finals, you tend to be more careful and conscious of your decisions. Don't want to make any misplays this early on in the series.
Yeah, rotate here just actually being pushed under the tower. Probably has to go for an early Tiamat. Actually, is that an Executioner's calling in her inventory right now?
Yeah, the Executioner's first buy means
just
that
to mitigate the healing that
comes through from the passive.
Yes, yep.
Not only that, but the Grasp of the Undying as well. You do mitigate the heal coming from that, so it's actually a pretty efficient buy coming in. Decent first item. It's not too expensive as well, it's only 800, so Rotate will only delay her Tiamat for a couple of minutes. As long as she's fine CSing under the turret, she still will be able to hit that power point.
Yep, decent buys from both these top laners at the moment.
Oh, Bramble Vest is so good, yeah.
What the other laner wants to do, of course, like you said, Volibear picking up that Bramble Vest to mitigate some of the damage that Fiora does bring.
Not only that, but it does reduce the healing, I believe, on the Vital Proc. So now it's sort of like who counters who, right, in the top lane. And when you do opt for this sort of itemization, both top laners might just be content trading and farming up. They don't want to go for any all-ins. But just as I say that, damage across Comfy Roof, taking a big bite out of Rotate's head.
Yeah, we see that both these top laners are just really looking for these skirmishes. Well, not really skirmishes, these simple trades. They haven't really engaged. But Lemon Trigger's gonna try to change that.
Rolling Thunder forward and Rotate now will get caught out. The flash coming in, a counter flash across. Great repulse to deny the knockout, but a bite to the neck will solidify the kill.
Yep, huge damage coming in from Comfy Roof. As we see a freeze frame here, able to pick up first blood, 1-0 and 0 now. Probably going to be able to, you know, facilitate more buys, giving them a better advantage in the top side.
140k mastery points, baby. Now getting the kill, now on the board. Finding a small lead and the goal lead itself. Still, the story is that in the mid lane, Ahri is holding her own pretty comfortably against Nacha Adventure, who has been so far pretty dominant in this tournament, but now getting a taste of her own medicine against an Ahri.
Well, I mean, if you don't pick up Cleanse, I guess, you know how this matchup works.
Yeah.
I think if you're Nacha Adventure, you should have a better idea of how you should play this, and you shouldn't really be 19 CS behind at 8 minutes.
It is to be expected, unfortunately, in this matchup. The range versus melee is so tough, as we'll see the famous window that signals to us that we will have to reconnect in.
Pepega.
Unfortunate, but it happened today quite a few times, so
Well, we'll make do.
we will make do. Game has been relatively slow to say the start, but first blood on the board. I think that was 9 minutes in, around there, so maybe things will heat up soon.
Well, hopefully. I mean, this is the first game of a best of 3. We tend to see that, you know, both teams aren't that are pretty willing to go for these fights, but it's the second game where we really see the lull. So hopefully we do see some plays being made in the next few minutes.
I mean, they are very cautious, but they are still willing to take some risks. So we are loading into game, 0% on the loading bar. It feels bad.
Feels bad, man. Well, server issues, we can't really do much.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for us.
I feel like the players themselves will be sort of facing these issues because it happened earlier today when we disconnected, so there are a couple of the players, so it might just be a network issue.
Yeah, well, these sorts of things are the factors where you really cannot tilt. Like, when you see a random disconnect, you're forced to deal with a pause. That's the time when you're like, well, can we really do? I mean, what are the plays that we can make really?
Right.
So those are the things that you can think about during these pauses to make yourself understand how you can play the game and not tilt off the face of the earth.
It's like a small period where you can like mental reset, just as it were. Because ideally, if you have a teammate dropping out of the game, your natural instinct is to panic, which you don't want to do.
It's like no, it's like more like, are we really doing this again? I mean,
reminds me of that Campus Legends game where Epistemology DC'd and they had to play like 15-16 minutes without the mid laner.
that was a little unfortunate, but you know, what can you do, right?
Judging from the compositions, I want to draw it back to the
Sure.
game because we saw the Volibear actually work out pretty well against the Fiora there. Going in, or rather returning to lane with a goalie, do you think that's something that we have to be concerned about? Fiora against this Volibear in the long run, can she match up to the Volibear split push? Because we always note Fiora as this late game monster. The moment she gets to her power points, the vital procs actually do her a lot. She solos people pretty well. Against Volibear with Elite, how does that matchup go?
Well, here's the thing, Volibear with a snowball is very devastating. You do not want to allow that snowball to increase in size. I mean, the thing about Volibear is when he's a hit, he's just going to run at you and he's going to put a lot of damage into you and there's not much you can do about it. In the case of Fiora, she does bring the repose, so as long as she's able to time those properly, in the case we saw her repose to Jarvan, I believe.
Yeah, the EQ.
Yeah, that was just a little late, I think.
Yeah.
So, if she's able to position those reposes better, there's one way she can, you know, mitigate the snowball.
The Volibear Flash EQ did get the drop on her, so I don't think she was expecting the damage coming in and the CC as well to follow up. So great play, you know, credit where credit is due. Great play coming through from the ladies of Opononi there. Lannisters now trying to bounce back from early deficit. I say deficit, it's like what, 200-300k gold.
Sure.
No, 200-300 gold, not even a single
gold, yep.
1,000 gold, right? So it's still okay, it's still beatable.
Unfortunately, we still do seem to be having a few issues reconnecting into the game. Like, here we go. Still 0%.
No, still 0%. Gotta wait it out.
Please, come on, increase the percentage. Come on, guys.
Garina, Thailand, please.
Yes.
1%.
Not even gonna give you 1%, man.
Man, unfortunate because we can see like the bar on top is still spinning, so it does mean like we're loading, right? It's just that we aren't connecting to the server.
No, it just means your game isn't frozen. That's
right,
what the spinning thing means.
What a fake out. In my mind all along I thought it meant meant that I was loading.
No, it's from before the thing.
Suddenly we're back in the game. It's 4-1. Looks like the mid laner here for the Lannisters managing to pick up a couple of kills. I'm trying to take stock of the situation because we did jump in at a very weak or rather weird point.
Yep, fire hose for the Ahri coming through. I think throughout this entire tournament we've seen Ahri being this sort of secret OP pick that everyone sort of gravitates to. Well, mostly Nacha, but still. Now that we see Kirsty on the champion, we see that she's actually pretty strong no matter who really pilots it.
Pause coming in. I think a bit of a disconnect issue once more. And like we said, if we're disconnecting, so are some of the players. So it is to be expected somewhat. The kills did go the way of Ahri in the mid lane, but I think it was a roam down that burnt flashes as well as heals from Desire Braum. And you're talking about how you don't feel too good about Desire Braum sort of duo in the bot lane.
It's not the optimal combo.
Yeah, it's not the optimal combo because of the short range of Desire. You can't actually do all too much with the Braum. It's really tough to proc the concussive blows, and when one is going in, the other is going out, so it becomes very tricky.
One more thing, though, Opononi did manage to, you know, if you look at the minimap, set up some vision around the dragon and did manage to pick up the Ocean Dragon for themselves. Obviously not the most optimal dragon to have.
Open Drake,
but, you know, it's a buff, you might as well just take it.
Yep. Right, now, still on the board is the single member, the Volibear, with 1 kill and 1 death. The death, I think, coming from a gank from the Aatrox. You can see 1-0 and 1 now, with a single assist on the side of the Fiora.
Yep, we do see both teams ready, but as soon as we get back in the game, we see that the pause, so...
It is not the will of the server for us to get back to the game.
Feels bad, man.
When they pause, we are paused as well, but just in screen, so hopefully we'll find out what's going on soon. It's happened to us early in the day, and then the server was a bit more lenient and forgiving towards the second and third games, but now in our best of 3 finals, Seems as though the PC overlords will not have us cast this game.
Pour the coffee into the machine again.
Yeah, gotta show our disregard for them, and now they're punishing us.
Yeah, well, 800 gold is the difference between the two, even though the scoreboard does seem a little lopsided. Definitely by no means is the game decided at this point, but you know, in the early game, we do have to give the advantage over to Kirsty on the Ahri, and by extension, the Lannisters.
One thing I want to say that is, Kirsty, like you mentioned, a lot of credit due, but stealing away the Ahri is one thing. Being able to pilot it better than Nacha Adventure now, her mid laner opposite is actually finding herself in a world of hurt. Not having a good time at all on this Silas, and 0 mastery points kind of showing itself this game.
Perhaps the plan wasn't actually to put the Silas in mid lane. I think they did actually manage to first pick Ahri. So if Opononi didn't look for a counter pick, I think that's why they ended up in this sort of wonky situation.
Yeah. I think overall you could tell that they didn't want the Silas mid lane. They might have wanted the Silas top, but the moment they saw the Fiora, they were quick to swap over. Could have even been the Volibear support, and
this is a funky time to pause.
Oh yeah, looking like they want to go in. That was the initial animation of abscond. And if we focus more on the Silas, I will give you a couple of tips on how to tell if a Silas player is experienced. One of them is animation cancelling the Q.
Okay.
So the Petricite burst, I think, is the name of the passive. If you don't animation cancel it, takes about 0.3 seconds to finish the animation. But most players, Riven players, similar. The moment you cast it, you auto attack away, or you auto attack move away, and that cancels the rest of the animation while the damage goes through. So if you do it properly, you actually save a lot of time in your combos. You save up to 1.5 seconds if you do it properly.
Alright.
Yeah, so that's one thing I realized that good high tier Silas players do that Nacha hasn't really demonstrated so far.
I mean, you have 0 mastery points in the champion. I don't think you can demonstrate that. At the moment, though, we are just looking at this interesting position that Silas is in.
Hopefully we'll be unfreezing relatively soon, as Rift heralded Aatrox will be sitting in the mid lane. This is like the freeze frame moment of the record pausing. I bet you're wondering how I found myself in this situation because he's in a world of hurt.
The question is though, why is he in this situation? Your wave isn't pushed up that far. There shouldn't be any reason why you're this far ahead in your lane.
Oh man, poor Nacha Adventure.
Right. Okay. Well, it's a bit of an unfortunate pick, I guess. Going to the next game, I think maybe you want to be more...
Maybe Lux. Lux might be good,
Lux
right?
is good. I think if you go into picks and bans with a slightly better plan of what you want to do, because you're not going to rely on getting your Ahri, your Kled or your Renekton in this match. So.
Yeah, I would agree. That's permaban, right? Ahri, Kled, and Renekton are not going to be available at all. It's going to be the first 3 bans for the most part, and coming to a BO3, maybe they switch sides, maybe they start to just permaban all 3 of those. Of course, on this time, they did lock away the Ahri for themselves by denying it, so...
Yep. That was a very convoluted champion select,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I guess...
I was so surprised when I saw the Pike. I was like, what is going on? Is there a secret Pike pick?
I have no idea what's going on.
And then the volley into a Braum and the Silas was just like, wow, this is next level 200 IQ. Apparently not really working out for them. 200 IQ draft isn't proof of performance when you're 1 and 4.
200 IQ League of Legends isn't letting us back in the game, so...
We're getting juked out by the client, guys. It's a bit unfortunate, but it happens sometimes.
It's alright, we can do a bit of a league podcast for this game, at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to ask you so far, we've been looking at a lot of other regions coming in. So our first region was Vietnam, and then we did Philippines the last week. And now we're looking at Thailand. Which region do you think is the most impressive so far?
Most impressive so far out of the regions we've seen? Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because in an international setting, you can't really decide which region is the strongest just based on watching domestic tournaments.
Okay.
So what I think is, even though Vietnam, like you said, we have seen pretty strong mechanics out of them, I think Thailand has shown that they are more macro focused. I think that's where they can find their advantages.
This is like that Reddit argument where people are like, oh, well, Jin Green Wings can take a couple games off G2, and everyone's like, well, you can't compare domestic with domestic, right? So
is there a little bit of flame coming going towards LS?
I don't know, man, maybe.
Alright. Okay.
I'm just saying that sometimes, domestic tournaments are tough, poor indication of international performance, right? We are back into game.
Aatrox here looking for a bit of a gang. If he can't step out of this bush without being spotted, so... Oh boy. Double control ward in that bush, make sure he's not spotted, but
Sweeper
does pick him up.
Sweeper will spot the outline of the character model there, and Wither's Bite is just used to dissuade this gank.
Why is he still sitting there? Well, they're trying to go in anyway.
Looks like they want to force it with the prowling projectile, but the Unbreakable and the stand behind me is enough to stop that gank from coming through. Now earlier we saw that stop motion disaster that Nacha Adventure was in. She did go down there, and the kill did go the way of Kirsty, I believe. The assist coming in from the Aatrox as well. Meanwhile, Riposte being juked away from. Lemon Sugar was in the top brush, so I think Rotate smelt a rat in the top lane and decided to back off.
Yeah, well, oh, they're going in again.
Side burst forward, and the charm under the turret is a bit tricky. Spirit Rush is still available for Nacha Adventure. Was hijacked away, but she will use the remaining charges and put the skill on cooldown right now. You know, the siege coming through from the Yuumi Ezreal is actually a good deal of damage being put down. In on the top side, a good deal of damage in reverse. On top of this, the Volibear healing up, but Executioner's Calling might just be enough. The bite isn't enough to finish her off. And Lemon Sugar having to EQ out, bailing on the Volibear, saying, see you later, buddy, I don't want to fight this at all.
And that's what you can do when you're good on the Fiora. When the pilot is good, the Fiora will allow you to take these sorts of 2v1s. He even picks up a kill on the back end.
Buy so much space here for Lannister in the bot lane as they chip down bot tier 1. The first turret to fall was the mid-outer in favor of Lannister, so they're still looking to rack up more as I say that top outer falls as well.
Yep, that's 2 towers to 0 and 6 kills to 1 in favor of Lannisters. The gold lead is about, what, 4k at this point?
Looking at the composition of Opononi, it's kind of tricky for them to start sieging up, so I would think that they might want to take fights before they set up their siege, because the 4 melee champions and Zaya who doesn't have a long range auto attack as well, it's kind of tough, right?
Yep, and the story of FSL Thailand right now, if you look at the gold, has been the Ahri. Right now she's 2k gold ahead over her counterpart, and that's where your advantages should come from right now. If you're Lannisters, you want to send that Ahri into the side lanes, you want to find advantages, you want to find these picks that can accelerate your winning ways.
Pix is right. She said she picked up the fire hose, the garden hose earlier, and will be able to activate the slowing portion of that item as we see the item gold leads coming through. In the top side, it's only 400 in favor of Fiora, but it's the mid lane, like you said, big gold lead being picked up. Morello Nomicon completed as well. There's 2 core items for the Ahri. My goodness.
Alright, Big Purple Worm is on the board, and we did see some things from Opononi onto the Baron pit. I don't think they're actually going to start it out. There's no way they can with 2 people.
In particular, the Silas would be the wrong target to go in onto Baron with. No Herald was picked up this game, I believe it.
Yep.
Defaulted back into the Death Chamber. Meanwhile, launching the charm, a great abscond abduct forward. Cataclysm available, but not just in range as Spirit Rush is being used, but the damage being turned over onto Lemon Sugar. Here comes Rotate, a good slow and a charm onto Nacha Adventure, and the teleport coming in to help her out. Volibear getting reposted out of the fight on 2 fronts, and Kirsty now falling very low as the last Q is going to finish her off. Here comes the Aatrox as they split the fight, and Nacha will fall soon. Comfy Roof, the next target, as everyone is just dogpiling in onto this fight.
That was a huge messy fight. I have no idea what's actually going on.
And they're still chasing, oh
man.
my! Overreaching there, Rotate will fall, and at the end of it, it's a 3-for-2 trade. The Lannisters come out ahead. Tawan's Aatrox was leading the charge and did do a majority of the work there.
Fiora's rotation actually pretty quick to assist her mid laner. Does force out the TP from Comfy Roof. Didn't really do anything except for get herself killed.
Yeah, on arrival, she used the Rolling Thunder as well as the shout to kind of CC up her opponent, but a perfect riposte coming in from the Fiora to negate that. And that's what you want to see, right? The mechanical outplays, like you're saying. The pilot makes the champion good, and right there it's piloted to perfection as the goal lead extends to 3,500 in favor of the Lannisters.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of mechanical plays right now, but what I want to focus on is the macro as both teams sort of center around this dragon pit. They want to clear out the wards. You can see Lannisters right now just clearing out 1 ward and looking for others.
Oof. Ocean Drake here is the next target as wards are being put down like you mentioned. Tawan's going to be starting it up. The Aatrox with the healing would be very happy just tanking this one up. You can see Black Cleaver already completed for the jungler of Lannister. Meanwhile, sitting in the brush here is the Jarvan Kirsty. If she steps up, might just be caught out, but the Scryer's Orb is enough for them to give information over. Turning their sights over to the blue buff though, as the sweeper has been activated. They will see a Jarvan here, and the charm is going to connect. The damage through is so ridiculous.
There's a lot of damage coming in from the Ahri. Well, at least I think you have to expect that from a 3-1 and 2. Now 4-1 and 2, a hit of her counterpart.
Kirsty now making the plays happen for Lannisters, controlling the jungle as well as the river portion of the map. Blue buff will be stolen away as the mid lane of Lannisters powers forward.
And these were the picks, right, that we said Kirsty had to contribute to her team if she wanted to, you know, send her advantage elsewhere. As Braum is taken away by the Braum. That's great.
You take what you can in this point. You're so far behind. Well, I say so far, it's 4k. You know, try your best to get what you can. And meanwhile, Pool Party Fiora now leaping on to the Sterix Gage activated Volley Bear. The last proc is going to give the healing from the Grand Challenge, the repulse for the slow. But here comes multiple teleports. The Avengers have arrived. Petricide Burst isn't enough. Then this Silas has just teleported to her own doom. Moving in forward, here comes the Jarvan as well. They managed to turn it over onto Christie, and the Cataclysm is enough to dunk the Fiora as well. Thankfully, backup has arrived in the form of Jarvan, and they find 2 kills on the top side.
And those are the kind of fights that you want if you're Opononi, but we do have to question why Rotate had chased the Volley Bear that far. Maybe it's a sunk cost fallacy. You use the ultimate, you want to get the kill. Unfortunate, the only kill that does occur is her own.
They lose 2 members in the top side, like you say, overreaching once more. That seems to be the story of FSL Thailand. Sometimes just getting a bit too greedy as the turrets will fall now. The first that the team has taken. Opononi finally finding their opening structure for this game.
Meanwhile, the bot lane is just continuing to be very passive, like the Ezreals that we've seen today. Most of the Ezreals we've seen in the past have been, you know, a little overreaching, like we said earlier.
Yeah, Arcane shifting forward.
Oh man, let's not even talk about that. But Risu Thompson right now, along with the Yumi, have been playing this safe lane to perfection right now. 0-0-1 on the Ezreal and 1-0-2 on the Yumi.
I want to call them the Thompson sisters right now. They're playing up, they're moving around the map, clearing the waves out. Lucidity Boots picked up and lost chapter, so this should be a Luden's Echo next in terms of damage. It's a good spread. AP on the Lucian, excuse me, not Lucian. AP on the Ezreal and the Ahri and AD on the Fiora.
Let's take a step back though. I think we have to appreciate that at 24 minutes, both these teams are only about 2k gold ahead, which we haven't seen all too much during this tournament. We've seen a lot of stomps, and I like that we finally seen a close game.
It comes down to the gold lead. It's the shot calling and execution that will make the difference when the division is so small. Uses Thompson. Well, Thompson sisters have to be careful as they sit around the mid lane. A force might come through. Lemon Sugar looking a bit hungry for Ezreal blood. The Arcane shifts away. You know, falling projectile will slow down Nacha Adventure. A good deal of damage going back across actually. Zoomies needs to heal up the Ezreal as the two-shot brush is hijacked here by Nacha Adventure.
Yeah, Risu here not going to allow Opononi to find any sorts of advantages. As soon as she sniffs any sorts of engage coming off that bush, Arcane shift back.
Problem is that their composition for Opononi doesn't have any point-and-click CC. There's nothing that really guarantees anything as Kirsty is now sitting off the side looking for the damage, and this just a charm and Orb of Deception. They force out the heal, and that's more than enough for Kirsty, who didn't expect the kill to come in. I think she underestimated her own damage as well.
Credit over to Sparky though, stepping forward to body block for the AD carry of WRDZ, mitigating a death that could have come if she wasn't there.
You know, top laners just playing ping pong with the waves in the bottom half, pushing back and forth. Rotate now sitting inside the brush, will get spotted out by the ward and tries to proc the Vital, but doesn't really get the second one off either. Riposte now being used to stun up and Grand Challenge being used. I think this is a Volley Bear that's in a lot of danger. Jarvan coming in with the flag and drag Cataclysm up in the flash as well, but not looking to chase down. Wisely so, because teleport is available, and the moment they make that play, it's instant Baron take.
Yeah, the moment Rotate comes onto the map at the bot side, Pings came down saying that she was there. You cannot afford, if you're Rotate, to continue to overpush like you did earlier in the top lane, because Opononi will punish you.
Looking for the punish on the Baron now as they look to take this fight. A great riposte once more, and the flag and drag being dodged away from Cataclysm onto the Fiora, but the damage back across is good. She gives as much as she can take, and pulling down the Silas as well. The moment he shows up, this is a Baron call that has to come through from Lannisters.
And I say you'll get punished, but what happens when you're this Fiora? You're so ahead that you can just take those 2v1s. You have to pull a third member. As like you said, Lannisters do start the Baron.
Baron call is made instantly, and they started up. The Scrying Orb is gonna spot out 4 members onto this objective, but they don't have sufficient damage because this isn't Ezreal. No Mountain Dragon to speak of means that it's a slow Baron take. Clean recalls and rotations coming through from the Opononi squad as Fiora is still pretty happy taking the bot lane. Meanwhile, in the jungle, final chapter is going to keep Nacha Adventure in the thick of it all. Glacial Fissure not going to finish its cast as they find the first kill on Nacha Adventure and P-Tawan in the middle of it all, dunking down multiple members. Will fall eventually, though, as they take this disadvantageous fight, kiting back. The charm pulling Comfy Roof in. Risu Thompson has to be careful about the spacing here. Arcane Shift 4 might be a bad mistake. They try to chip down the opponents. They're just delaying the recall as Fiora is sieging in the bot lane.
And yeah, that's the thing. When you saw they start up the Baron, it did force out the teleport from the Volibear, which then allows this Fiora to push all the way to this inhibitor. I'm not sure if this Isaac can stop her as Comfy Roof is killed in the top side of jungle.
Caught them recalling and managed to find a kill off there. Meanwhile, not going to finish off the inhibitor is going to be a big mistake here. Instead, greeting for the kill, not using the flash to chase down, and the grand challenge proc a bit too late. Auto attacks from the minions, thank goodness.
Man. Alright, well, despite all of that, gold lead's about 4k right now. By no means insurmountable. I think Opononi do have a chance to get back, but they are going to have to answer this split push from Rotate some way or another.
Not just Rotate, but the super minions streaming into the bot lane is going to add additional pressure on top of this Fiora. So I think Opononi have to be careful in terms of how they assign their lanes. Sending the Volibear to bot lane might just be the best choice, even though she doesn't have teleport. But right now, Nacha Adventure and company are on this cloud drive.
Yep, shouldn't be too... What they're moving towards the Baron.
I think they're afraid the moment that started up because they have no vision. They're completely blind here. They need to walk in and get some wards down.
Yeah, despite the fact that Lannister was actually back in base, Opononi could have taken that dragon no problem, but instead, because they don't have the vision, they're forced to path topside to get that vision to make sure that Lannisters don't try to sneak that Baron away.
Look at the goal difference on multiple members of Lannisters compared to their counterparts. No one is behind. Even the closest deficit being the Ezreal, who's only behind by 50 gold. Everyone else is ahead compared to their counterparts.
Yep, at this point Xayah should be coming alive, but Ezreal at this point, since she has been staying this equal, should also be hitting those items that will make both of these AD carries a real damage threat in the next fight.
Completely blind on the Baron are the Opononi girls. Meanwhile, we see some map movements coming in, looking for the charm, finding the Silas, but a leap forward from the Braum is going to stop majority of the damage coming in. Xayah isn't necessarily here yet as the Cataclysm is completely dodged away. A two-shot barrage off the back, a great charm! Finds the jungle and it might take this fight if they can advance forward. Aatrox just flashing in for the damage and the Featherstorm coming out. WRDZ, the carry for the team, still alive, still dishing out damage as the flank from the Fiora is still decent. Now they have to turn their sights over to peeling for the AD carry, but she's gonna go down instantly, and so is the top laner. It's an ace coming in. A massive flank coming in from Rotate. We thought that WRDZ could get the job done, but not in this case. It could be the game here.
And Opononi was so happy taking that fight. They're like, okay, it's a split fight. Ahri's not with her team. We can take it. But what happens when the Ahri is so far ahead that she can just turn on you and make it a flank and collapse?
Don't even want to look at the mid inhibitor. They're moving straight onto the Nexus turret. The first one has fallen. The second is soon to drop, and they are looking at the Nexus now. Game 1 being very handily won by the ladies of Lannister.
Yep, and that's all the practice and all the preparation coming in. As well as I think a bit of a questionable pick from Nacha, but overall very clean performance from Lannisters, and I think we can't really give a single factor to pin the blame on for the loss coming in from Opononi.
I think we have to give credit as opposed to assign the blame here, because multiple members of Lannister stepped up big time. Rotate was a consistent side lane threat. Kirsty with her picks consistently as well on the side, and in the last fight they managed to find not only the Silas charm but also the Jarvan charm, right? Those were huge targets to isolate. And Risu and Patty, as the Thompson sisters, did do their job just clearing out the waves and being safe Ezreal picks in this game.
Yeah, let's also give a bit of credit over to Rotate. I think the awareness that okay, the Volley Bear has teleported up towards the Baron to stop them. I can continue pushing. Did manage to pick up that inhibitor, which was what basically allowed them to push in for the win.
Alright, we'll have to see how Opononi decides to respond in the next game. Nacha Adventure on the Silas, maybe not the best pick.
Yep.
I want to be experimenting with something else. Zero Mastery Silas, of course, is a fuse bad. But for now, guys, we will be going for a short break. When we come back, the continuation of this best of 3 will be up soon. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to Game 2 of the Lannisters versus Opononi Grand Finals here for the FSL Thailand qualifiers. We know if this is going to be representing Thailand in the FSL Elite Tournament later on in September this year, but for now we are in the picks and bans. I say we are underway. Of the picks and bans. Corki is going to be the first pick here for Opononi, and on the other side it's going to be Sivir, possibly Yuumi.
Yuumi's bad.
Of course.
Well, if you pick a Sivir, I think one good pick you can go with is something to protect the Sivir. Maybe you go for the Braum. I don't.
Right. Rengar here was covered previously, but I think Aatrox might be a better option to once. Aatrox did a pretty good job the previous game in team fights at least, and counter ganking the Jarvan when it counted. Interestingly enough, you mentioned that Yuumi's banned and you want the Braum. I think that there is still a good degree of priority on the things like the Morgana, as well as we saw earlier today. The Morgana, as well as there was one more support that I saw. I can't recall off the top of my head. It'll come to me later.
Support?
Yeah. We had a good variety of support players support champs coming in.
Today? Yeah. Oh, heck, I don't remember either, but
So Johnny locked in, Nacha Adventure will be looking for, okay, if this is a Varus, then Tahm Kench is going to be super important, Varus, Braum as well. So suddenly these peel to protect the AD carry style supports rise in value in the second ban and draw phase.
I think it would have been okay if Opononi actually went for the Xayah again. I think WRDZ on the Xayah previous game was actually pretty good, one of the main damage dealers, despite them actually losing that game. So moving him to pivot onto the Varus signals that they want to play maybe a bit more of a pick.
Yeah.
But actually not sure how well they'll actually do on this.
But when we look at Opononi as a team, their secondary win condition has always been to draft pick compositions, right? Apart from team fighting. The Varus does supplement that sort of pick potential that the RE does have, but which is banned away this game. So we might see a support that can do the same thing. That's maybe supplement the pick, like a Nautilus perhaps. So I say that it's gonna be banned out. Yep.
Right, well, we're gonna see whether or not they actually do ban the Tahm Kench. Like you said, it's very important that you get that Tahm Kench when you play the Varus, but just gonna be pinching the jungle pool is Opononi at the moment.
I think that's a mistake though, because they already have the Aatrox and they're comfortable putting the Aatrox in the jungle, so you don't have to pinch the jungle pool. Just force them to send the Aatrox to the mid lane and get yourself a decent matchup by banning out top, banning out the support here. I think Tahm Kench super important to ban out.
Are they gonna do it? 4 seconds left.
3, 2, 1.
Happy New Year!
No, it's gonna be the Braum.
Braum.
Braum is a decent reply. I think Braum also does supplement that sort of pick style of play. Tahm Kench lends more global power but not so much pick, so in this case...
The question now is that even if because you don't ban Tahm Kench, maybe you want to pick it for yourself. Silver Tahm Kench lane isn't that bad, but...
They don't have a selection here, so it might be tricky if they want to get it for themselves. Silas the Blast ban here. I don't know if this is a meme or a serious ban, because Nacha Adventure had a relatively poor game of Silas earlier today.
I mean, you're 1-0 down. Can you afford to do a meme ban?
That is true. Thompson sisters looking. Right.
Nami.
Yes, that is the Nami. Yeah, there's the Nami that we saw earlier. Another Chanter support that I think was highly prized together with the Sivir, because you do have the ability to disengage and re-engage really well, but Karma does the same thing as well, albeit in a slightly more flexible fashion.
At the moment, Karma can still be flexed top and Aatrox in the jungle, but Sivir Karma as a lane, that's pretty good. I think an enchantment support with Sivir to speed her up and allow her to increase her speed down the lane to push down. I think that's something that can work.
Lulu now locked in, so along the same vein of protect the AD carry, I think Lulu does fulfill that role, with the wild growth as well, the polymorph. It's just not that front line tank that you want. Last pick to round out the composition is a Nara here, which is surprising because they're pretty much betting that, okay, we could safe pick Nara on blue side and go into Aatrox just fine.
You were talking about yesterday that Nara is one of those safe picks that you can take on the blue side. On the other hand, though, we do see the rise being hovered right now, coming through. In fact, for Lannister, we saw them play yesterday, both Rotate and Kirsty. this time obviously going to go to rotate. There's going to be a Rise top versus a Gnar.
Rise top against a Gnar. I think the Rise is just content farming up here. Of course, you can make something happen when the Aatrox comes up. But in a 2v2, unless you can specify which target you're going for. Oh, hold on. We are going to jump out here and reconnect soon. But like I said, unless you can specify and call your target early, if the damage spreads to either Gnar or Sejuani and they share the damage load, they actually can turn the fight around pretty well.
Right, looks like they have encountered another black screen bug, so we should
Unfortunate.
be jumping back in with the same picks.
Unfortunate, but it does happen sometimes, and I think Rotate on the Rise yesterday had a very fantastic game, split pushing once more, so you can see both these top laners are kind of cut from the same cloth, if you will. They like to play these side lane bullies and solo lane bullies, in fact.
Well, obviously Rise is a bit more of a comfort pick. If you ask me about the optimal split pushers in the current patch, I wouldn't gravitate towards Rise, but obviously Rotate thinks that Rise is something that she can do well on, can take towers with.
Right.
Obviously he's going to pick it up, so yeah.
Traditionally, I would think of Rise more as a ranged versus melee matchup bully.
Yep.
I wouldn't play Rise into a ranged matchup because it just lowers a lot of the bullying potential you have, especially when you do scale into the side lanes. Against Gnar, who can go for things like the Grasp of the Undying, to keep sustaining up, or even go for something like a Fleet Footwork. It's going to be tricky in these side lanes. I think Rotate might have to at least get some help from the Aatrox early on to stabilize the lane state.
But like you said, Comfy Roof Rotate just going to be a bit of a passive lane. Like we saw from the bot lane last game, I think this lane shouldn't have too much action this game. In contrast though, I think when you have the Varus on the bot side, I think that is something you can utilize to find picks, and therefore we might see a bit more action come out of this bot lane this game.
Yeah, one thing that made sense to me was if they're going to play Nami and Sivir, right, it makes sense to ban out Braum because the Unbreakable does so much work in mitigating the all-in potential, right? You can stop the Tidal Wave, you can stop the Aqua Prison from getting to the Varus, so it makes sense that they banned it out. And then now you look at what the response is. They had to go for a Lulu who, for all intents and purposes, cannot stop the Aqua Prison from landing. If you catch Varus, you catch Varus, right?
Yep.
Sure, you can use Wild Growth to disengage, but once they tunnel onto the Varus with the CC, Aatrox is going to join the fight for sure as well, and so is the Syndra. It's all in once any sort of CC lands on the Varus.
Right, we're jumping back into Champion Select right now. We're just going to see the regular bans and picks as we did before. But touch on your point earlier, I think I definitely agree that these bot lane picks are, designed to look for the picks. That's
Bot lane selections are designed to look for picks.
Yeah, sure, let's go with that. But yeah, I think not much to say there. I think, like I said earlier, you're gonna see a bit more action at the bot side. I think both junglers might actually pay a bit more attention to the bot side as compared to maybe going top again.
I would think the side with the Nami does facilitate the ganks a bit more with the Aatrox. Of course, on the opposite is the Sejuani, who once again has very little people to proc a permafrost with her. This time it's a Gnar Sejuani, I believe in the mid lane Corki, and of course in the bot lane they only have double range, so there's nothing much you can do to make sure the permafrost stacks.
That's the issue when you play Sejuani. You want to pick the melee map, you want to pick some melee champions so you can facilitate it, but when you don't have it, it's not like it's impossible to proc, but it's just going to be that much difficult to get the stacks onto
don't get me wrong, the inherent power of the Sejuani is still there. Like, for what she brings to the table, her kit is still extremely strong. It's just that with melee champions next to her, it becomes that much more impactful.
And now we're back on us because we got more technical difficulties as the client decides to disconnect us again.
Being disconnected out of draft, I don't know what is going to result from this. Hopefully we will be able to jump back in. Fingers crossed that we will.
Yeah, you're going to have to leave the game here as well, so that's a bit unfortunate.
Alright, so hoping that we can get this game up and running. I think it was the same thing the previous game, right? We did run into some issues at the start.
2 games before, I think. No, the first game, I think.
First game, and then 2-3 was good.
2-3 was good.
4 just now was not too bad.
Not too bad, and now we're dealing with this. So
alright. Please, hopefully not a sign of things to come with the DCs later on.
Extra caffeine coffee into the machine.
No. Maybe the machine needs like some food, like brain food. To get things going, yeah.
Alright.
What does a computer eat? I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to make a joke.
Oof.
But
I feel like I know this, but it would be so bad, like it wouldn't even be funny. Like a computer eats bytes. You get it?
Mr. Dolphin, can I leave?
Alright, so we are done with the draft now,
Alright.
thankfully. We still have that 3-minute delay, so awkward jokes aside,
Yep.
taking a look at the composition, it does appear that Opononi is still drafting a bit more of that comfort team fight into pick style, the primary objective being to team fight, the secondary objective being to make picks happen, whereas their opponents looking a bit comfortable more with the Rise and Aatrox side lane, bullies, and the Syndra, they're just for added measure in team fights, and of course, Silver Karma to engage, disengage.
Yeah, you get two AP solo laners, but you do have the AD in the Aatrox and the Sivir, so I think this is a very balanced composition. I think both sides right at this point is
Right,
they
it's
do
a good
have
mix.
pretty- okay.
Corki and Varus. I think the meta build for Varus nowadays is one of two things. You either do Lethal Tempo, Blade of the Rain King, Guintus, or you do Arcane Comet into Lethality, right? But that one sort of dips off after the mid game. You're at a point where you're super strong with your Qs, but then against Sivir, I would highly recommend you just go for the standard Lethal Tempo into
Yep.
Blade of the Rain King, because she can absorb the piercing arrow coming in. So yeah, just go for the standard Varus build.
Standard Varus build absolutely. Meanwhile, on the side of the Sivir, I think not much in the way of creativity and builds there.
I think we saw earlier today with the Yumi that one person did take fleet footwork, but
Oh,
even then
yeah.
you're sort of a tough lane because I think they're going up against Kai'Sa Nautilus or Xayah Rakan or something like that. So there's a bully lane, and I think they're content sitting under turret as Sivir Yumi to just farm it up and wait for the jungler to come. So that is some variation we've seen. I haven't seen like press the attack or conquer what have you.
That will be
Sivir,
an
yeah.
interesting Sivir. I think that will be a little bit troll.
Mhm.
Instead, we should see just the standard picks. I don't think we're gonna see much in the way of creativity here. I think it's a second game. Like we said, it's gonna be a bit of a lull. Both teams don't really want to take risks, so it should be a
And-
bit of a standard game.
You can see that in the draft. Both top laners and AD carries did opt for a scaling style of pick. So Nara and Rise, of course, looking for 2-item spikes respectively, and Varus and Sivir as well. If there was any inclination to go hard early, would have seen things like Lucian Draven, these sort of options available as well. So that want to play to these mid-game fights.
Yep.
Are the selections for both these teams here. Remember the winner of this, currently we're sitting at 1-0, or 1-love depending on how you want to say it. Lannisters on the red are the ones leading the charge in terms of score. And if they win this, they close out the series and proceed to become the FSL Thailand representatives for later on this year.
Obviously, Opononi does not want to allow that. I mean, they had quite a strong showing in the previous few games. But in the previous game, because I think of the Silas and a few other misplays, they were thoroughly outclassed by Lannister. So we're hoping that they do manage to get back to basics and come out strong in the early game and hopefully turn this game around.
The difference this time much more obvious because we saw the Silas, like you mentioned, very low impact. Now on Corki, we saw her play Corki earlier today. Nacha Adventure actually pretty decent on that champion. Especially if coming in flanks with the package. We have to see whether the Corki can pull off some miraculous stunts to keep her team in the game still. Keep her team in the series rather.
Yep, not much more to add on to that. I think mid lane is going to be very crucial right now. We want to see Nacha Adventure return to that, carry monster that was able to.
I mean,
yep.
To be honest, she was solo killing her opponents quite a lot, right? On Silas, absolute nothing.
Yep.
Just kaput. There was no kills. She was getting shoved in. In fact, she had to burn her flash early to escape the all-in attempt. So along the same lines, yeah, Nacha Adventure has to step up big time in this match.
That's absolutely the point right now.
We'll be going into the loading screen soon. Place your bets. Is it going to be Lethal Tempo Varus or...
Well, apparently it is Lethal Tempo Varus.
Alright. Guardian Lulu means they want to be absorbing the poke from the Karma, which makes sense. However, there is a... Oh, maybe that's a mistake.
Maybe a bug.
Maybe a bug, but I think she might not have played enough games to get the mastery points because you have to hit, like, I think, mastery level 6 first to start accumulating points and something like that. I'm not particularly certain how it works.
What do you mean?
With the champion mastery points.
I'm pretty sure
Do you start getting them the moment you start playing the champion, or do you have to hit a certain point first?
No, you get them the moment you start playing the champion.
Right.
Then when you hit a threshold, you get like Mastery 5.
Right.
Then Mastery 6 is what? 2 S minuses.
Okay.
Yeah, then you just keep accumulating, I guess.
Maybe they have like secret Smurf accounts, because Lemon Sugar sure as hell looks like she has quite a few games on the Sejuani.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, we just have to see. I mean, they've been playing okay, so I guess Silas was just a bit of an outlier.
Perhaps so. I mean, to say that the Silas didn't perform well, it's not like we're trying to criticize her. It just didn't have the impact that you expect a Silas player to have.
I'm just saying it's not exactly the best pick for that situation, I
It's
guess.
like us backtracking and backpedaling, don't want to get flamed.
Oh, no. Don't get us wrong. It wasn't a good pick there at all.
Right, on the rift now at match point, leading 1-0 are the Lannisters on the red side, and on the blue side it will be Opononi, named after what we're guessing is the dolphin of the coast of New Zealand, Opononi George. We were googling that just now because it was quite a fun name to say.
Fun name, fun logo, great team. I hope we get to see them. Only a little bit of bias because of that logo, I guess.
Alright, Boomerang being thrown out by Comfy Roof to make the Rise feel a bit more uncomfortable. I feel like even in real life, if a Boomerang flies towards you, you know it's gonna turn, but you still don't want to step near that.
Alright, meanwhile, looks like both junglers are actually going to start on the red buff again.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Aatrox just going to go for the Raptors after the red buff. Very easy clear for him. And meanwhile, Sejuani actually... Well, the name of the game for Sejuani is counter ganking, really.
Yeah, right now she's dancing, so counter ganking might take second priority to the dance, but overall they will be starting this one up. Look at the cheese coming here from the Karma Silver, the Thompson sisters. Interesting thing you can do with Karma is because level 1 you do have Mantra, so if they walk through that particular route through the river, you can actually chunk them out and look to burn a flash or a Hue potentially. Remember that this bot lane is relatively safe. Silver did go for a teleport, so ideally you don't want to take an all-in fight because you don't have, rather you're missing one combat summer spell.
Yep, at the moment though, we do see that Silver Karma did pretend to leash, so a bit of an information discrepancy favoring Lannisters here.
Raptors will be the next camp, started up by Talon's Aatrox, Neon Lemon Sugar, Sejuani moving over to the blue buff. Standard here. Nothing too different from the previous game. I say that. Talon is walking in, there is no wards to spot out this take, and she's gonna drop a ward behind and just blast Cone over. Smite being used preemptively by the Sejuani. I think they might be able to steal this. There you go, Talon with the reverse smite to get the pickup, and now she has to get the heck out of dodge because Nara with the lane priority is walking down. Meanwhile in the river, Kirsty and Nacha venture dueling it out, but forcing the Valkyrie away.
About to question why she was there, but luckily the Valkyrie did get her out of dodge very quickly.
Level 2 taking Valkyrie is sort of like the safe option. If you're greedy, you go for Phosphorus Bomb and Gatling Gun, right there. 200 IQ play, Nacha venture the smart level up and getting Valkyrie. You know, bot lane shoving in early and hard. Expected is with the Karma there and the Mantra and Powered Soul Flare.
Yeah, it'll feel bad if your Lemon Sugar using a blue buff. That's gonna affect your clear just a little bit, I think. But at the end of the day, it's just a bit of XP and gold going over to the Aatrox.
Just one cap ahead, now heading back over to her own blue, leaping across the wall, and we'll be looking to take this one up. Now Raptors being started up by Lemon Sugar and a big chunk onto Nacha. Venture has the recall. A very untimely point in the laning phase. We'll have to teleport back if she doesn't want to miss the wave. Even Fleet Footwork doesn't seem to be helping her out much in this lane.
Yeah, and that really shouldn't happen when you're on this Corki, this lane bully that can, you know, push the wave up and gain yourself lane priority. I think when you're this early in the game, you should not be losing that much health that quickly, even if you're against, you know, Syndra, who is a bit more long range than, say, maybe the Ari.
And look at the summer spells on Kirsty's Syndra. Hallelujah. Mid lane gang coming in. Nacha Avenger taking a good deal of damage. Inferno Chain is going to knock her back and get chunked out, but she still has the Corrupting Pots running. And like I was saying before the gang came in, God bless her for taking the cleanse because she's respecting the CC coming through from the Sejuani at level 6.
First cleanse we've seen throughout the tournament must make you very happy.
Yeah. I love it when players respect the threat of CC and know that, hey, if I keep safe, I can still output damage and keep my opponent's front line on their toes. So far, Nothing too different from what we expected in terms of wave clear in the mid lane. Aatrox with full control after the early blue buff steal. Will be making her way down to take the Skull Crab as well. Level 4 to level 3. Your opponent.
Yep, not sure if you picked up on that, but the dragon is an infernal, so you can see that Aatrox did begin to place some priority on it, taking the Rift Scuttle on the bottom side to give themselves some vision and possibly look for an early take. Keep in mind that the bot side is pushing in favor of Lannisters right now, so they do have priority.
Ricochet as well as the Boomerang Blades are enough to get the wave shoved up consistently. We saw there, Spell Shield was used to soak the piercing arrow damage down. Because of that, it makes this matchup very difficult for the Varus player.
Right, like we said though, there isn't much action going across the map. Both teams just playing in a bit of a lull state. I think we're gonna see this continue until perhaps like the first few ultimates coming onto the board.
But I think you called this Foods earlier in the series. You said, well, it's game 2 where people tend to mitigate the risk. They don't want to make any dangerous choices when it comes to playmaking because it's all or nothing on the line at that point. You kind of want to hold your cards close to your chest and see how things play out.
Yeah, you can see that from the picks as well. None of them actually going for, you know, sort of early game centric picks. Everyone here is okay scaling the late game, and that just proves the point that everyone is fine scaling out at the moment.
And Nara going for the Conqueror just speaks volumes about how she wants to scale up, because I think the items of choice here should be a bit MR and Black Cleaver focused. So even a Hex Drinker here might not be too bad to deal with the damage coming in from the Syndra as well as Ryze.
Definitely the two biggest late game threats from the Syndra and Ryze, I think. In terms of AP anyway, I think we're gonna have to be aware that they can put out that much damage. Syndra obviously gonna have to stat check you once she gets ultimate.
Coming back into lane with a tier now is the Ryze on the top side. Meanwhile, no buy just yet from the Gnar. Recalling right now, we'll be looking for a Phage first, so no MR just yet. Just wants the movement speed on the attack speed procs.
There is such a thing as, you know, maybe playing a little too safe, I think, when you don't actually prioritize objectives that you can actually go for. One thing that we should keep in mind is, again, the Infernal Drake and whether or not... Never mind, here we go.
Good deal damage down. Finding the stat check damage might just be the next course of action here for Kirsty. Throwing down the spheres and the orbs, trying to land a bit more damage before she goes for the all-in. Remember, there's no barrier here for the Corki, so Unleashed Power with 5 spheres, I think, would be able to kill Nacha Avenger from half health.
Aatrox is waiting in the side wings, maybe looking for a bit of a gank if presented the opportunity, but Nacha is playing safe towards the bottom side of the map. Which
is interesting because you know that Sejuani's on the bottom half, so best case scenario, you cut towards your own Raptor cam and Sejuani's there in time to rescue you, which is why she was playing towards the bot half. Meanwhile, Confury from the top has to be careful. Reverting back to mini Gnar form as the wave is gonna get shoved in by Rotate here, using the Spell Flux to activate the wave clear damage down.
Yeah, like you say, Rotate, shoving the wave, not actually sure why Aatrox is staying around. Actually, never mind, Comfy Roof extending a little bit too far.
Oh, using the Q's, the Inferno Chain is going to be hopped away from, and flashing forward, a bit of a misplay coming through from the Aatrox. I think it could have been a visual bug, but overall that second Q and third Q will not connect, so Comfy Roof saves her flash and manages to get out.
Yeah, just a bit of a mechanical unfortunate misplay. Flashing in and missing the crucial Q means that's one summoner spell wasted for the Aatrox.
And earlier in that top lane, I think Rotate did have to burn her own flash. You can see he's on a shorter cooldown right now. But the danger is that you want to regank this lane, very low percentage of success because Comfy Roof has flash as well as the hop.
Yep, not exactly sure how you're gonna find a sort of gank in that lane unless Mara actually pushes up towards Lannister's top side tier 1 tower. Tawando actually moving down to the mid lane here. Corki is a little overextended.
Trying to land a stun, scatter the meat, not enough. Meanwhile, great spell shield coming in from Risa Thompson to shoot away from the CC of Glacial Prison. Lemon Sugar trying to make something happen to bot lane, but the snap reaction from the AD carry of Lannisters keeps her safe.
Yep, pretty good spell shield, but oh, never mind, here we go.
Once more into the mid lane, coming from the side, using the Scatter the Weak. Not just yet, rather, the chains will be flashed away from it. Good deal of damage back onto Christie. Has to be careful about the big one. Grey body block coming through. That's a good guy jungler, absorbing the damage for the mid lane.
Yeah, we begin to see spots of action across the map as everyone begins to hit the ultimates. But yeah, that was a pretty good flash from the Sivir to get away from the Sejuani, but is forced to use the flash and spell shield. So there's a potential for a regain coming in.
But you can see the junglers are matching each other. When Sejuani goes bot, blows a flash and teleport. Aatrox goes mid, blows a flash on the Corki. So it makes sense, right? The fact that they are going punch for punch, blow for blow, matching each other pretty well. Rotate now, building and accruing a relatively big CS lead in the top side, 20 to 25 CS. Had to burn the teleport to make that one happen though.
Yep, about a 700-800 gold lead just by CS at the moment. No kills, no objectives on the board just yet.
Turret plates as well. I think they took bot,
yep,
turret plate and top turret plate.
It's fair enough. Well, earlier on in the game, we were drawing attention to the Infernal Dragon. I think if you're playing a little too safe, Lannisters might, you know, I think they should go for a bit more aggressive stance and try to take this dragon away before Opononi can try to contest it.
The composition excels with Inferno as well because they all do a considerable amount of damage. They all build some sort of AP or AD stats, so it's a high value Inferno Drake even for, say, the Karma hold on package coming down here. There is a pink ward or control ward in that Tri-Brush. Tawan now walking down the river as well. This is a possible contest on the dragon, or at least a fight looking to break out soon. Explosive moments in the chamber right now. Nacha Adventure having to Valkyrie away. I think the package timing out there, but they turn their attention over to Tawan. The Glacial Prison misses. And that's going to be the end of that trade. I think both teams there a bit trigger happy, a bit nervous, but just want to get the heck out of dodge.
Yeah, Tawan, even though has been shown to be pretty comfortable on this pick, has been missing these crucial Qs and the knockups.
Not landing one just there, like you said, missing crucial knockups. You know, items coming in for both bot laners. It's going to be the makings of an Essence Reaver for the Sivir and a Cutlass for the Varus.
Yeah, if you take a look at the top side though, there is a substantial lead coming in from the Rise. He's going to try to make it even larger now, flanking on the Corki.
A recall coming through. I don't know if they see this completed just yet. We'll follow through with the recall as they pile up in the mid lane. As the wave is getting shoved in, Kirsty's going to notify them that the Corki has based. And there's nothing much they can do here. Speaking of which, Lemon Sugar coming in along the Raptor is flanked by the Lulu. 2-on-2, possible 3-on-3 soon.
Understands that there is a threat towards the mid lane. Karma not in lane with the Sivir. So they do send the Lulu go and check out what exactly is going on.
Look at the wave clear coming in from the Rise. This is... how do you expect her to accrue the CS lead? Largely due to such reliable wave clear. Spell Flux is a really good spell when it comes down to it. Meanwhile, on the top side, a bit of trades coming through. The blue buff being taken here by Tawan as a Comfy Roof will be trading across. So, jungler not there means that Rotate might have to be very careful with the spacing. Hold on, Unleash Power onto the Corki. Not enough damage though, as she's already completed her Phage, so she has some bonus health to her name.
Wait, what?
Oh, first blood in the bot lane. Here comes the Sejuani once more. Somehow managing to get the kill there. The heal was used by Patty Thompson, but meanwhile, Tawana coming in for the regank will find the control ward there. Pretty messy so far, in the explosion of action, both teams seem a bit unaware of what's going on. But at least they find the first blood and they propel themselves a 1k7 ahead.
Yeah, but about 2k gold lead towards Lannisters might actually just increase by taking some of these tower platings. Not exactly much that Opononi can do at the moment.
Opononi either focus mid or bot now because they're losing multiple plates in both those lanes. Sure, they get some respite in the top side by now shoving in, but the Rise is there to reply, and this opens up the map a lot more. There's no more vision on the dragon. As you can see, the pinks are coming down. Bot lane prio heavily in favor of Sivir, Karma as well.
Yep, Tawan not actually starting it up, just clearing a bit of vision. Probably wants to make sure Sejuani's not anywhere around before he tries to go for it, but he goes for a fight.
Chrono Chains will not finish off the proc as Lemon Sugar just dashes away. Nacha Adventure down to a quarter health. Remember, Unleash Power is coming up relatively soon as Kirsty tries to land the stun but does not find it.
Yeah, 100% Nacha has to be very careful here, especially once Unleash Power comes up. So you can try to mitigate a stat check as much as you like, but you're not gonna do it with 300 health. Meanwhile, Tawan does start up the dragon.
Obvious that the dragon is being attempted right now as it will not be spotted inside the pit. Couple of members walking over to help Patty Thompson as well. Risu here in the bot lane still pretty strong. This should be a dragon going the way of Lannisters with little effort. Meanwhile, stun connecting onto the Corgi. Here comes the Rise. The flash is not available for either of them. Using the stat check once more, but not finding the kill. Very tricky here in the mid lane. Nacha has been able to dodge away from a lot of the aggression coming in. Is still keep relative in terms of CS.
Yeah, credit over to Nacha right now. All you have to do is sort of mitigate the damage coming in from the Syndra until you hit those items where you can become a damage threat for your team.
For one thing though, this is definitely a Mercurial threats game. Like both top lane, mid lane, AD carry should be going Merc threats. There's no reason for you not to get MR here. It's just too good. And as I say that, let's see a non-magic mantle picked up one of this one.
I'm just gonna see what they end up actually going for. Like you said, Merc threats should be the optimal buy. This bot lane tower though is getting very low. Perhaps another gank will be enough to seal first tower for Lannisters.
I don't think they might need a gank though because they're recalling right now. I think Essence Reaver is completed for Sivir at this point. So that's a big item that will allow them to push indefinitely in the bottom lane. Berserker's Grease picked up as well and a BF Sword. So this is actually a big buy coming in for Reese Thompson.
Didn't even notice the CS gap until now. 109 to 147. Never mind, I'll hold it.
Comfy Roof is going to be in Mega Gnar soon as Tawan has to leap away. The Mega Gnar not available because she's being rooted up. No flash means that she won't get into range, and a great pull back with the Inferno Chains will keep Comfy Roof under health. They have to back away though as the Sejuani comes back up to the top lane. Storming up the river now is Christie as she goes for the Unleashed Power and press R and deleted her immediately. Here comes Patty Thompson as well for the help on the side, trying to land the stun or the root at least. But not really going to find anything right there. The early rotation from the Syndra led her up to finish off the kill.
100% good early rotation from the Syndra after pushing up the lane. Prevents Nacha from actually answering until it's far too late for her to make an impact.
Now they get access to mid and top and a lot of damage down onto the turrets themselves. Rotate is probably going to be able to chip down top tier 1 at least. Claim the structure for herself now that this cannon wave has arrived.
Yep, first turret gold actually going solo over to the Lannister's top lane and rotate.
I think that's like, yep, 450 gold in the form of the first turret and the structure gold as well.
You gotta feel real good in your fight against Gnar. Gnar not exactly gonna have much of a chance to answer this Rise's push now that he is that far ahead.
In terms of items, it went for the instant Black Cleaver from the Phage and now looking to build a bit more MR with the now Magic Mantle. Meanwhile, her compatriots, not really much MR to speak of either, so let's stat check like you mentioned. The press R Unleashed Power from Syndra is actually going to be pretty impactful. Taking a look at the gold difference in the top lane, it's about 1k.
It's 1k pretty much across the board at this point.
Between mid as well and spot, significant deficits being held by the members of Opononi. That's not to say they can't climb back in because there is still that sort of scaling option. For the Varus as well as the Corki late game, they do become that sort of turret.
100%, you don't actually need to look for that much of a fight at the moment. You can just scale up, but you know, a fight could be pretty good, but you know.
Great Realm Warp Imp to come in with the flank and they find the first kill onto the AD carry. Varus, low mobility, will go down first. You're saying, well, you don't have to look for action. I think that the ladies of Lannister just want to take these fights in. Now teleporting back into the top lane, Rotate will be dealing with the push coming in from Comfy Roof. Tawan and the Thompson sisters banging down on the bot inner turret. Will eventually fall.
Yeah, the way you prevent Opononi from coming back into this game, if you're Lannister, is just keeping up the pressure and keeping these fights forced.
Looking at items on the rise, we see the Saras already completed this early on, 18 minutes, already evolved to provide that shield in fights. Meanwhile, they're rotating to mid to consider sieging down mid tier 1. The outer turret is still up and standing, but the wave clear from Corki is actually pretty decent.
You should definitely go for this tower. In fact, you should never lose, you know, tier 2 tower when your mid lane tier 1 is still up. But you know, the push was just way too oppressive for Opononi to answer. And if Lannisters want to start opening up the map, this mid lane tier 1 tower is the way to go.
Resetting here to look at Rift Herald. Remember, there's another minute, possibly minute and a half on the objective, but they need to finish off quick. Otherwise, it's going to go in the Death Chamber and they will be denied the Eye of the Herald.
Yeah, they should get it in time. Lannisters at the moment pretty ahead. They are going to be looking to siege some towers now that both objectives are gone. Dragon to spawn in, you know, a few seconds, but after that, they can probably utilize this Rift Herald to great effect.
Rise was the one that got the Eye of the Herald, so apart from, you know, being able to unleash Shelly in the side lane, also gets the Empowered Recall, so that allows rotate to get a lot of value by playing these side lanes.
Meanwhile, Risu Thompson actually pushing up the mid lane. This is actually pretty good. I think if you want to send your Syndra to the bot side and force a siege in the mid lane with your bottom lane, I think that's something that you definitely can do with your Lannisters at this moment.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because the wave clear from the Sivir is undoubtedly more reliable at this point than that of the Syndras. You don't have to step up that far to land the Qs. And because she has Essence Reaver, every time she crits, she gets mana back. So Ocean Drake just makes it that much easier, right?
Yep. At the moment, I don't think we're gonna see any contest. Yep, just an easy Ocean Dragon taken by the Aatrox.
What I want to see more though is the Ryze make these flanking Realm Warps together with the Aatrox to get on the back line, because we saw the effect of that early on. By making a good Realm Warp play, they secure bot tier 1, bot tier 2. That sort of thing can happen time and time again, as long as they organize and execute it properly.
Yep, organize and execute it properly is the way to go if you want to go for those sorts of plays. We have seen pretty troll Ryze engages from time to time, especially slightly rarer now that people are getting used to it, but still definitely one way you can screw up your game. So if you don't think you're able to take those kinds of engages, it's best not to even try.
I don't know if you played Ryze pre-rework. I mean, he said quite a few, but the current rework was...
Which one?
The one before this was the one where it was super broken because you could Realm Warp with Zhonya's Hourglass. Oh, hold on. Could deal damage down to the Corki, who just barely survived. Jeez. Down to a quarter of his life.
More importantly, they do get their mid lane tier 1 turret, which means they open up the map, they can begin to push up their vision into the enemy jungle.
And what's important here is that, remember, there is no magic resistance on the side of the Corki. In fact, being super greedy, going for Sorc Shoes, right? Look at the items on the Syndra. Double Magic Pen. Sorcerer's Shoes as well as Oblivion Orb. So anything that she does in terms of magic damage to Corki is now true damage.
Oh boy. Well, Syndra's going to be very difficult to deal with as she starts to build up this damage profile. Very hard for the Corki to mitigate all of it.
Stealing away the cannon minion and looking to claim it for herself. Meanwhile, Rotate still on the bot side, just split pushing her life away. Comfy Roof now is sort of getting a taste of her own medicine in this game.
It's a bit unfortunate as, you know, this Ryze is so far ahead right now. Never mind.
Stun landing once more, and Unleashed Power finally finding the kill there. Like we said, no magic resistance. The Unleashed Power is just true damage done to the Corki, and On the Hunt was used there to secure the kill. Finding the pick though, they will use the Rift Herald. As Rotate moves over to the mid lane. I want to say Rotate, but moves over to the mid lane with the Rift Herald.
Yeah, but at the moment we can just see Lannisters once again outclassing Opononi. This time just pushing down their mid lane without any effort.
And if you're Opononi at this point, you have to be careful about where you position around here, because Scare of the Week, if you find the Varus, hold on, so much damage onto the Lulu. Where did she go? And the cleanse being used by Krista immediately. Great! Disengage. Scare of the Week finds 2, and Tawan is just happy to jump in. They leaped in onto the Varus and they find the kills. The only member alive is Comfy Roof, and guess what? Realm Warp is gonna claim the Gnar. Instantaneous fight being pulled there, and I don't think they want to take this well. They will sacrifice the Silver, but they will get the inhibitor and instantaneously pulling the trigger on that fight.
Luckily for Opononi though, Natcha does respawn, preventing Lannister from taking anything else other than inhibitor. Red team right now just gonna back off and try to reset, get their item buys, and maybe come back and look for the end of the game.
Like I was saying, you know, literally the moment I completed my sentence, they mispositioned and they got caught out. I said, you have to be careful around this mid, because the moment Scare of the Week lands, they will all in onto you.
Yep.
What happened there was a root connected on the Lulu, who's super squishy at this point, looking at... Yeah, it got popped. Lucidity Boots and Ardent Sensor, no health at all. Root into the blades from the Aatrox was more than enough, and at that point you just walk it in, run it down.
Right now at the moment your mid lane is completely exposed. If you're Opononi, there's not much you can do. You have to stop Lannister from taking his Baron. But the thing is, you can't really leave your lane if Lannister set up this waves properly.
Wards being clear here by Lemon Sugar, but you can see a whole posse of people just walking in. Rift Herald, excuse me, not Rift Herald, On the Hunt being used rather. Back off here and reset. Comfy Roof now looking to move forward, but so much damage with the Scare of the Week. They find 2 kills off the back. Chain of Corruption onto the AD carry does absolutely nothing, even though they get the kill, because now the Sejuani is next to fall. Flashing over, and here comes the flank from Rotate. The damage is ridiculous. Sparky, the last member, to stand and die. And this should be the game going over the way of the Lannisters.
Yeah, 30 seconds left on the Varus. Lannisters don't even need the Baron. They're just gonna walk these minions into the enemy base, take everything, and that's gonna be the end of the game.
Take everything and give nothing back. The depth has been claimed by the Lannisters, and they will be looking down the barrel of a 2-0 here at FSL Thailand. Qualifying and just moving forward, leaving the game is WRDS. What a shocking defeat and one-sided game it was. Congratulations to the lady from Lannisters. We'll see you in Singapore in September.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think Lannisters just showed why they are the best in Thailand, just walking right over Opononi this game.
And we thought, you know, Opononi, prior to this final, we said they're a team that had the best chance, probably the closest chance to go up against the Lannisters, but the ladies on the red side just made them look like fools when it comes to the game. Granted, they did try to push in all the way, you know, make a good effort, but geez, you could see there were certain points where the Lannisters are just quicker to the draw.
Quicker to the draw indeed, and now we are going to see them in Singapore in September, I believe.
Yes, they will be here in, I think, September 7 and 8 for the FSL Elite, which will be held in conjunction with the Esports Festival Asia at Comex. So do drop by if you are in Singapore around the area. If you want to come down and support your friends from Thailand, by all means, it's going to be a great event. Spoots and I will be there together with Gamenism, who will be casting the tournament, but I think we have to talk about next week's matches because today and yesterday, great set of games.
Yep.
High quality, I think very decisive as well. Next week, we will have our local matches in Singapore, the Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesian server, which is pretty much the server we all play on now. It will be held at 12 noon GMT plus 8. So if you are from Thailand, GMT plus 7 will be 11 PM. If you are from Indonesia,
11 AM.
11 AM, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, not that bad. Yeah, 11 AM. Yeah, so do tune in next week if you are curious to support your friends. And not to mention, we got to shout out our sponsors as well. Thank you guys for making all this happen. You know, FSL Week to Week is a community event, and the sponsors are the ones that do drive us and help us make sure things work. Shout out to our sponsors, Dreamcore for our PC, Super Solid for the monitors that we're looking at right now, Aftershock for our gaming laptops, Elgato for hardware, Yahoo for, like I said yesterday, probably helping us broadcast this as well, and Overdrive for our overlay. So with that, guys, we're going to thank you from all of us here at the casting desk, the production desk, as well as our observers. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to sign off. Have a good evening. See you later.
Bye-bye.